Hey, Jesse here, episode 6. Today we're going to talk about sleep systems. All right. As always, like and subscribe. Take a look at the links below. A lot of them have some great links and great military first responder discounts. I personally don't have any. I do not have a cup of coffee with me today because it's later in the afternoon and I'm watching my caffeine intake. But if I were to drink caffeine, it would be absolute bearing coffee based out of Mystic, Connecticut. Thanks, John and Lisa. Link is below, by the way. So, sleep systems, right? So I consider tents, sleeping pads, sleeping bags, sleeping quilts, hammocks, all part of a sleep system. Okay. So we're going to kind of dive into it. And the very first thing I think you need to consider is your sleeping, or your tent, I should say, right? But remember those 3 questions in the very beginning. What are you hunting? Where are you hunting it? And when are you hunting it? This is really the when. Okay, so you need to determine what time of year or what time of fall, if you're hunting big game, you're going out, because that's going to determine where you're going to put your money. Okay, and where you're going to start investing and start doing your little bit of research on it, right? So if you're doing an early season hunt and it's generally a lot warmer, right? So you don't want to maybe go and spend the money on a 4-season tent, and so on and so forth, right? So I got 3 different tent systems I'm going to show you real quick. One of them, I call them a 1-season tent. It's really actually a 3-season technically by the book. But right here, this is a Slingfin, okay? The entire tent system, it does not come with poles, by the way. Use your hiking sticks or your 4-wheel drive to hold this thing up. It weighs 1.1 pounds. The entire tent, and this is a 1-person tent. This is great. It's small. It compacts. You can probably even compact it even more. I did set it up, but I'll put a picture up from the website to see what it looks like. My understanding is one of the lead designers or the makers of Mountain Hardware tents made his own company, and this is where they came in here, right? This is very light stuff. I could see it maybe ripping, but it is quick for a good spike in when it's really, really hot, or if you're chasing a bull or you need to put him to bed and you're going to sleep you're going to sleep kind of far away, and you can set up a quick tent, break it down really quick, and keep on the chase and then the next morning. This is the system for you. I'm probably going to run this in early Colorado this year, coming out of my base camp. So base camp, before we get more into tents, right? So they can be anywhere from big walled tents to campers, whatever. I run a camper in, and then I usually kind of have everything for a go. It's like a large go bag. So I'm ready kind of any time of year, right? But I'll spike in, come back out for a couple of day or two, resupply, go back in, spike in, whatever the case is, right? So the next tent on there is a traditional 3-season tent. All right, this is a Sierra Designs. This is the High Side 2. This is a 2-man tent. This is pulls everything into this package, and it actually fits pretty good inside of a backpack or strapped up underneath the backpack. Okay, I did run this in late November in northern Nevada for an elk hunt. It was fine. The sleeping bag I used, I budgeted too much, and it wasn't rated for what I needed to do, and I froze my ass off for the entire 10, 11 days we were out there, okay? But for size-wise, for packability, for maneuverability, for ease of setup, this thing is awesome, and it's maybe 4 pounds, if that. My calibrated hands aren't a little bit off, right? So 4 pounds. And then if you're going into, I like using Oregon or northern Nevada, depending on what time of year, with their snow or a lot of frickin' rain, right? You can get into a traditional 4-season tent. These things are sealed up, right? And nice. This is an REI one. I do actually a lot of my shopping for this outdoor stuff at REI. 4-season tents are expensive, okay? And they're big. This is everything included in here. Take a look at the garage sales at REI for budgets, right? And I got a sleeping bag here that I got from there. This is a $500 tent. I got this and another one for $200, an identical one. Now, the issue was one of them had bent poles, right? And then the other one had 3 fucked up zippers. So I bought them both for $200. I threw the poles out on one. I threw this fucked up zipper one out of the other one. I combined them, and now I have a usable 4-season tent for $200, which is about 60-ish% off their normally retail price. Smart. 4-season tent, great. I love it, and it holds heat amazing. I did some cooking inside the tent, like with my little burner. whatever I'm having, my nighttime tea or morning coffee, and it kept the tent extremely warm for quite a while. And then in rain, not an ounce of moisture got inside. And it's got all kinds of storage things on the inside. Next thing you need to think about once you get the tent set up is your sleeping pads. Okay, this is a Nemo Quasar 3D extra wide, which means you're not really going to roll off of it. It has a low R value. This is another Nemo, I'm sorry, a Sea to Summit, has a high R value. And R value, the higher the number, the more insulation it has. The more insulation it has, the heavier it is. The heavier it is, the more expensive it is. Okay, so this is, I think, an R2 or an R3, maybe, right? This is an R5. I use this with a sleeping quilt, and I'll show you what sleeping systems, and you can mix and match. And then you can get these traditional Nemo ones right here. This is like an R0, right? It weighs nothing. I call this the under 30 mat, meaning you have to be under 30 years of fucking age to sleep on one of these things. I don't like it. I usually, if I have these or I find them or somebody gives me one, I cut it up and I make it into a butt pad. All right. So blowing these things up though, if you have the air ones, can be a little bit cumbersome. So I went on Amazon and I spent the $15 on a little pump. It plugs right in. It is loud, but it blows really fucking hard. And I'll put one of these up in 2 minutes, if that long. Right? Just be cognizant of where you're camping at and where you're setting it up if you're going to make that kind of noise. Okay? So, pads, weight of pads too. So, you got to pair these right with the right sleeping bag or quilt. Okay? Sleeping bags, we'll talk about those real quick. So, sleeping bags this is a North Face. I put it into a Sea to Summit compressional bag. This is a 20-degree bag. Okay? This is a Kilty 0-degree bag. This is synthetic fill. This is down fill. Look at the size difference. These are compressed. I mean, tightly compressed. Okay. I don't consider myself a weakling when it comes to anything, and I've compressed the living shit out of these things. Weight difference is significant. Okay. This is the bag I ran in northern Nevada in that 3-season tent, and I suffered. Okay. This is the bag I should have ran when I was there, and I would have been absolutely just fine. One thing to help with that, and I didn't think about it when I did it, was running a reactor quilt liner. I can't speak words because I don't know where it's at. Found it, right? This is a sleeping bag liner right here. It looks just like a silk covered sleeping bag. You can fit in any one of these or anything like that, and it'll change it about 10 degrees. It'll give you 10 degrees more of warmth, and it fucking works. It is kind of tough to get into if you're fully dressed and wearing all your hunting garb. But once you're in, you're in. Okay. So synthetic, if it gets wet, it's fine. It's still going to retain some warmth and it dries easy. Down, if it gets wet, it's fucked. You ain't staying warm. Okay. There are benefits to both. You just got to weigh them and figure out what time of year you're hunting in. Okay. Now, the latest thing I've been running in warmer weather and actually even colder weather, because you can run it with the reactor quilt liner too, is a camping quilt, right? Again, REI. This is a 27-degree quilt. I'm going to pull this out because I fucking love this thing. I've been using this thing everywhere I go and whatever I do. They're very, very thin. It's set up like a blanket, right? So 2 sides, it doesn't zip, except for the foot it's sealed right here. So how this works, if you're running a sleeping pad, your sleeping pad fits into the bottom of this right here, and your feet go in and they stay nice and toasty. And then this thing itself, let me find the grommets. Do I have any grommet? There's a grommet right here. So these things attach to both sides all the way up, and it wraps around your sleeping pad and it holds it on for you. So you're not trying to wrestle with it in the middle of the night. That happens, right? This thing is amazing. It weighs, I think, 12 ounces. I got it from REI. Again, I'll put the link down below, right? This was not a garage sale one, but I'd imagine you're probably not going to find this on a garage sale because people, if they do buy them, they're going to fucking love them. Okay. This is an awesome piece of kit. And then another quilt that you can run, if I can pick it up, this one's a little bit bigger, This is the Kifaru one. Okay, this is more like a Wooby. It doesn't have any fastening bottoms or anything like that. But I would I'd keep this in my truck or a side by side. So if you're glassing and you're up close to it, you can bring it, pop it out, and you just wrap yourself up in it. Or even if you're glassing at a camp, maybe even a base camp, this thing is awesome. You can just it is extremely warm. It's just big. But it's fucking awesome. What is this thing called? Clima Shield Apex. I don't know if that's the actual name of it or just some proprietary fancy words they use for advertising. But anyway, luxury items. Besides that, I don't consider this pump a luxury item anymore. I consider this a fucking necessity. It's small enough to fit in any of those pockets I showed you in the pack systems. A pillow. This is a big pillow. They make bigger ones that you can do, or even tiny little ones you can blow up with air and just get your head off the ground. I use usually a shirt or an extra jacket and just wad it up underneath my head. Also, if you're if you're running gunning out of a vehicle, hammocks. Okay, I did a California deer hunt last year where I hooked it up to the corner of my truck on a tree and I slept. It was awesome. You can keep it in your backpack. So if you're out there, it's a quick little setup, break up, break down. You're done. No muss, no fuss. Nothing extra to pack. Literally, this is what it is for a hammock. Just make sure you bring the straps or you sleep on the fucking ground. That's really all I got. All right. Take a look at the links below. Remember, like, subscribe. Have a good day. Enjoy it. Get out, do some fitness today, and you're good to go.